Hi everyone, and welcome to Real Life Talks. I'm your host Yvonne Heath, author of the book Love Your Life to Death and founder of the I Just Showed Up movement. Today I'm so honored to have Suzanne Witt-Foley with me. Hello, Suzanne.
Hello.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about many things, very important subject. Mental health is something that everybody is aware that we need to pay more attention to, and you teach mental health first aid.
That's right, I do.
Yes, so welcome and tell us, what is mental health first aid?
All right, where do I start? Okay,
yes, start from the beginning.
All right, mental health first aid is a 2-day certification course. It's fairly new to Canada, but it was created back in 2006 in Australia.
Oh, okay.
And it has some alignment when you think of regular first aid and CPR, right? It's, as I say, 2-day certificate training. We brought it here in 2011. We were the third country to start teaching this particular course. It is now offered in 23 countries around the world.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
And it's a certification that is growing by leaps and bounds. There's about 3,000 trainers now in Canada. There probably is about 300,000 people who have been certified. And just from my own perspective, I started teaching 4 years ago now, and I have taught over 100 courses, certified more than 2,000 people. So just from my own little world perspective, it certainly is growing. So you asked me a little bit about what it is, and happy to share. It's essentially a course that trains people on a few things. First of all, it helps people have a better understanding of what is mental health, what is mental illness, some of the different, types of mental illness. What I find in our current culture, for the most part, most of us, now this is changing maybe with young people, but most of us really have very little understanding about mental illness.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
We talk about in my trainings how most of us, went to school, to elementary school, high school, the topic never even came up, right? Humans fear that which we do not understand.
Yes.
Right? And I believe that's a big part of what contributes to the stigma around mental illness, is the fact that many of us in our current culture don't know a lot about it. And we fear it. We fear it because we don't understand it, and we tend to back away.
And it's not black and white.
Oh, no.
It's not black and white, so that
Right.
makes it more complex.
Right. And so part of mental health first aid is giving people that understanding. Once we have an understanding of mental health and a mental illness, then we're prepared to be understanding, right? And we can step up.
Amazing.
Another element of mental health first aid is teaching people how to support others who are either struggling with mental illness or maybe experiencing a mental health crisis.
Yes.
Right? And again, aligned with, say, first aid and CPR, which of course I know you're very familiar with, given your history and background.
Yes.
The ABCs, right, is a tool.
Oh, okay.
Right? What does ABC stand for?
Oh, Suzanne, you're not allowed to put the host on the spot. Airway,
breathing, circulation.
Yes,
you got
right.
it. ABCs,
Yes.
airway,
Oh, I
breathing,
passed.
circulation.
Okay, yeah.
You did. So those are the key steps to saving a life with first aid and CPR.
Right.
Right? I will often ask, my groups, is that rocket science?
Nope.
No, it's not rocket science. Can
Easy.
anyone learn the ABCs?
Absolutely.
Right. Does it save lives?
Yes, it does.
Do you need to know those steps in order to save lives?
Yes, you do.
Right. So in mental health first aid, we have something similar. It's not ABCs, but it's ALGE.
Okay.
And there are a set of action steps to help support someone who either struggles with mental health issues or is in mental health crisis. So ALGE, assess risk of suicide and or harm.
Okay.
L is listen non-judgmentally. And it's it's interesting because most of us think, well, I've got a pair of these, so I'm a really good listener.
Yeah,
And
we don't use them very well.
No, in fact, it is human nature to want to be heard.
Yes.
And so it's really hard for us to sometimes sit back and say, no, now is my time to listen.
Just listen.
Right?
Yes.
So we learn, listening skills and how to listen non-judgmentally. The G in ALGE, give reassurance and information.
Yes.
Right? And it's about, the essence of that is reassurance brings people in. Right? You're not alone. You're not the only one.
That's right.
There are other people who struggle with this. In fact, it's common, right? Some of that reassurance, I'm here for you.
I'm
You're
here.
not, right?
Yes.
And information, we really delve into the fact that we want to provide people with information, not advice. Right?
Oh boy, we want to fix everything, don't we?
Yeah, yeah, we're built that way, right?
We want to fix it.
Yeah, so we talk about how, I think you should go to treatment. I think you should go and do this. I think you should get out there and exercise, right? That's advice.
And we shouldn't should people.
Right, that's what I say.
Yes.
We don't want to should on people.
No.
So stay away from that.
Yes.
And what we talk about and what we teach in mental health first aid is when you give advice, you take away that person's sense of control. Now I'm making decisions on your behalf.
Right.
I'm telling you, right? And
I'm the expert on this is what you should do. I know better.
Yeah.
But answers are also within people, and yes.
We want people to have that sense of their own control. When we take away a person's control, that sends them up into stress response.
So important.
We're trying to do the opposite, right?
Yes.
We're trying to help, bring people down. So we give, as I say, reassurance and information, key. And then there's 2 E's in algae.
First thing you have to know is how to spell algae. Is that
A-L-G-E-E.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yes.
It's not spelled like the algae in
good to know.
creek,
So,
right?
yes, so 2 E's. Okay, so then
2 E's. So encourage the person to get appropriate professional help.
Yes.
Right? We have a lot of power in connecting with people and supporting them, but certainly we're not in place of that professional help.
Exactly.
Right? That is a necessary tool in a whole toolkit that people need to build, or is important to build. So we talk about what are the appropriate supports, and we talk an awful lot about what I call hand-holding.
Yes.
Right? Really, we all know, anyone who's ever had to make that phone call to reach out for support, to make that phone call to, an addictions counseling agency, to make that phone call because, you're struggling, with mental illness. Those are some of the scariest kinds of experiences anyone can have.
Well, you don't know what's on the other side, and the stigma, and
we
all the
fear
rest.
that which we do not understand. If we
sure
don't know
do.
what's going to happen, we don't know how things are going to unfold. It's really scary, right? We don't know if people are going to treat us differently now, you know, all of that. So it's all well and good to recognize that professional help is important. But if I just hand you a phone number, what are the odds?
Right.
Slim to none, right?
Yes, exactly.
So we talk a lot about how can I be there with you? How can we walk together, to make that connection? And we talk about strategies to build that connection. What can I do? Maybe we make that phone call together rather than handing you a phone number. Maybe I say,
thank you. My work here is done. Yeah.
Right. Here, I've got a phone number. What if we call together? What if I call?
Yeah.
I'll put my phone on speakerphone. And you don't even have to say anything, Yvonne. I'll do all the talking. We'll just ask questions.
Yeah.
Right? That's a way to kind of bridge that, to handhold. So we talk a bit about that. And then the final E, certainly last but not least, encourage other supports. Right? The professional support is really important. But, I've had a wonderful opportunity to work with hundreds of people who live with mental illness. And I can say from that experience, the people who manage their mental illness most effectively, the people who have, have really been able to, have a fulfilling quality of life. Have built an incredible support system.
Their village.
Yes.
Yes, as I
Exactly.
Yes.
Built
we
a
need
whole
our village.
Yeah, and not just people supports, but there's actually, again, you can't build a house with just a hammer.
That's right.
Right? So, just to have one tool, whatever that may be, to move towards recovery from mental health or addictions is not enough. You need a whole toolkit in order to build a house. You need a whole set of tools, a whole set of supports. And you're right, a huge part of that are those human supports.
Yes.
So in mental health first aid, we reinforce the power of connection. And again, how do we encourage people to make those connections? Can we encourage, who are the friends that you have who can support you during this really tough time? Have you got any family members, that have been there for you? Or maybe you've been there for them in the past. I'm sure they'd love to return the favor.
Yes.
How can we get you connected to those closest circles of supports? But not just in your closest circles, where in your community can you get connected? I remember that you like to play volleyball. I hear there's, a Wednesday night pickup volleyball league. Hey, maybe this is something we can do together. Do you want to go?
Yeah, that's so important, because it's not just about seeking professional help. It's about connection to your community, about what you love.
Yeah.
Right? What do you love to do?
Yeah.
Because that's different for everybody. And that's so extraordinary. Yeah. And with Mental Health First Aid, what you're doing is empowering people to be able to just show up when you can't fix it.
Yes.
And it's okay. We don't need you to fix it.
No.
But just be present. Just show up.
We all have a role to play.
Yes.
And even the tiniest role, even just the smallest interaction, maybe we don't recognize it as a big role, but to that person, those little pieces are incredibly powerful. It reminds me of a story. Let me share a little story with you.
Yeah.
I have a friend, and his name is Tom, and he lets me share, some of his history of experience. And to give you the nutshell version, he struggled with addictions, went kind of on a downward spiral in his late 20s. In his early 30s, he found himself living on the streets of Toronto, homeless and addicted. And there were times, as he lived in that world, where he did realize, I need to reach out, I need to get some help and support. And this one time, he decided to get some help. He went into a phone booth. I don't even know that we have phone booths
Yeah, I
anymore.
don't know. Do we still have those? I don't
know. So he went into a phone booth and he made a call for help.
Yes.
And the woman on the other end of the phone, he told her what was happening, and she said, okay, I'm going to give you a phone number. He didn't even have a pen to write it down. So he breathed, he put his breath on the glass and wrote it in the fog, right? And apparently if you come back and breathe on the fog, on the glass, it'll
you'll
show
still
up.
see the number.
So he wrote down the number. She said, have you got it? He said, yeah, I've got that. And she said, and you know what, Tom? Anytime you want to call me back, I'll be more than happy to give you that number again. One sentence.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
he still remembers it to this day. He said, I don't know if that wasn't the time that I moved into recovery. There were many times where, he reached out and relapsed is part of the process of recovery.
Yes.
But the point is, that woman doesn't realize that she said one sentence.
Yes.
He's in a deep fog, and yet he still remembers it and takes it to heart. He remembers the compassion in her voice. He remembers, the non-judgment. She wasn't judging him. Nope. She was accepting and understanding that it's okay. If it doesn't work out this time, you can always call me back.
You're not alone.
And try again. Right.
You're not alone.
And so I just think that's so important for people to recognize, is whether your role in supporting someone is small like that,
goodness.
and it's just a momentary, piece of time, or whether it's ongoing support for weeks, months, or years. I think about my own life. My mom lives with serious anxiety disorder and manages it quite well, but I'm supporting, as best I can. It'll be a lifetime, right?
You can't fix it. No. But you can connect along the way, hold her hand, hold her heart, be there, right?
Yeah.
And
so whether little or big, it's all part of.
It's all meaningful, and it is amazing how little things can make such a big difference. I remember one mom whose son was an addict, and he was in Emerge, and she was just beside herself, and all I said was, I had a cousin who went through this, and you're not alone. And whatever I said to her was incredible. 10 seconds, and 4 years later she saw me in a store and she's like, I just love what you said to me, thank you so much. I thought, oh my goodness, what did I even say?
Exactly.
And those are the lessons, aren't they, that we all can make a difference, a positive impact with a little kindness, with just showing up, just being there.
Exactly.
Incredible. Wow. So I just love everything that you do. I wish that mental health first aid was actually something that we had to take. Everybody should take it.
Well, and it's interesting, as you know, and I'm sure the viewers know, a lot of times first aid and CPR is required, for various jobs.
Yes.
I'm starting to see that requirement.
Oh, good.
Right? For a whole variety of positions to also have the mental health first aid,
Yes.
certification. And it started for me with, the usuals, people who work in mental health, addictions, healthcare field, social service kind of fields, firefighters, police, there's a lot of people who
nurses, doctors.
This is necessary.
Oh, yes.
But at the same time, I'm also seeing it broadening out, just in general, workplaces, businesses are starting to realize this is a really important set of skills and understanding that we all should have. For goodness sakes, 1 in 3 people will experience a mental health issue at some point.
Is it 1 in 3 now? Because
3.
it was 1 in 5. Now
It was
it's
1 in 5.
3.
Now it's 1 in 3. It's 1 in 5 in any given year.
Okay.
So in this calendar year, 1 in 5 people will be experiencing a mental illness
issue. Yeah.
Yep. Lifetime, 1 in 3. So when you look at all of the, in Canada, the human population, 1 in 3 people will experience a mental illness at some point in their life. I don't know of any other illness. Maybe you do. Is there any other illness that is more common than that?
Well, I don't want to say it, but probably cancer. But that's that's another one.
There.
But this is something that will affect every one of us in your family, in your workplace, and there's nobody that's immune to it. We have gone through issues in our family. There's, with depression, with addictions, and as anybody who knows me, and I'm sure you wouldn't disagree that I could be the poster person for ADHD, and I love that when I say that and people say, yeah. You, of course, good. Okay, well, thank you for agreeing. But I'm not embarrassed to say that. That's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
That's not, it's just something. But I get up a lot earlier than all of you. I'll let you know that right now. Anyway, but it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just you didn't choose this.
That's
and
right.
And here's the thing with mental health first aid. If we all took it, maybe we would have those coping skills and strategies, and we could prevent
Totally.
a lot of issues.
Yeah, I get so excited talking about mental health
Yes.
first aid because there are so many elements of it, that are key. Yes, it's about having those tools to support somebody in a crisis. Yes, it's about having the tools to support somebody, some concrete hands-on tools that everyone can learn, to support people along the way. But the interesting thing is, you're right, a lot of the things that we learn about, a lot of the tools that are helpful for someone to move back to that place of recovery are the exact same tools that we all should and need to have in place to maintain our health and well-being.
Oh.
So there's another benefit, right? When people come, they're learning, even if they're well today, they're learning how to maintain their well-being, right? And promote that, with other people. So yeah, there's a lot of
It's important. And, as you know, with my book and my movement, grief is something that we all face in life, and it either causes or compounds mental health issues.
Absolutely.
And grief is whatever makes your heart ache in life, divorce, diagnosis, job loss, facing end of life. Of course, we're all going to face that. And, if you have a mental health issue, you will also grieve. So, wouldn't it be so wise of us to have as many tools and understand and know where our supports are? And, yes, the algae, I like that, algae, I'm going to remember that, with 2 E's. But I can make a difference for someone, right? And I can make a difference for myself.
Yeah.
When we empower ourselves as well. It's just so... it's just so important. Now, I remember you shared a story with me once, and I think that it's a really important story because I know often when we see people that are angry or aggressive, right? Angry or aggressive, we think, what's that guy's deal?
Yeah.
And, I've taught my children, maybe they have a mental health issue. Maybe they're grieving. We don't know what's going on in their lives.
Right.
But I'd love you to share that story because I think it's very significant.
It's, sure. Of course I'll share it. And it's a story I tell, you've probably heard me tell it a few times because I think it is, very powerful, that idea. And again, even thinking about mental health first aid, at the heart of it, the essence is connection is your most powerful tool.
Connection is your most powerful tool.
Absolutely.
Remember that.
And and that's mental health first aid, is teaching people about essentially the power of connection and how to feel okay with connection and not to be afraid, but rather, having that understanding for connection. But the story goes, it also reinforces that it can be a fleeting moment.
Yes.
Right? And it can make a huge difference. So the story, I'm in my van, I'm going grocery shopping, I'm driving along the side of the parking lot, just coming around, the front of the store. And there's a young man, probably early 20s, and he's crossing the parking lot, and I see him. And I kind of, he crosses right in front of the van, and it's all fine. I see him there, no biggie. So now I'm around the front of the building, about to go look for a parking spot, and he's walking along the sidewalk into the grocery store. Well, doesn't he start yelling and screaming at me?
Yes,
at the top of his lungs,
oh
right?
My goodness.
I mean, we're on TV, so I can't tell you exactly what he said, but
bleep, yes.
he's yelling, he's swearing, and the essence of what he's saying is, "Were you gonna hit me?"
Oh my goodness!
And he's so angry, and we're human, right? And our emotions are shared with one another. We have these mirror neurons that mimic other people's emotions. So naturally, he's angry.
What?
Exactly. So suddenly, I'm like.
Rah, rah, rah.
I'm angry, right?
Yes.
I wasn't going to hit him. Why is he thinking I was going to hit him? I saw him, right? I'm all mad. And I'm like,
oh, yeah. I'm going to tell him.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell him, boy. I'll find him.
What do I do? I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I roll down my window and start screaming at him?
Which many people do.
Do I drive away mad? All
so
this
mad.
is going on. And then I thought, okay. And honestly, the story takes longer to tell than how it actually unfolded. But I paused, and I took a deep breath, and I said, you know what? His anger is not my anger, right?
Important.
And so instead, I took a different approach. I rolled down my window, and I looked him right in the eye, and he's all big, and he's all, screaming, and I looked, and I said, and I always show people, I tried to find my most empathetic look.
Yeah.
So I kind of went like this. People sometimes laugh. It wasn't funny. It was heartfelt. I went...
Did you laugh? You gave him that face?
I gave him that face, like very sincere, like, oh. I said, I am so sorry. I said, I did see you, and I wasn't going to hit you.
Yes.
But I'm so sorry I frightened you.
Oh, my
I said,
goodness.
I didn't mean to frighten you. I'm sorry. And his reaction, so he's all big, and first thing that happens, his hands drop, and his jaw drops, and he's like this. Completely stunned, right? And then, this is really interesting. I'm watching him, and you could visibly see the shoulders come down and everything relaxed. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for yelling and screaming at you.
Goodness.
I shouldn't have done that. That was terrible. I'm so sorry. And, I said, oh, no, it's okay. I frightened you. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to frighten you. And we had this, the pathetic Canadian apology banter.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So this goes on a little bit, but then he says, it's just that I've been hit by a car before.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, of course he reacted that way. It scared him.
Sure.
Well, that was the next thing out of his mouth. He said, I've been hit by a car before. And I'm thinking, okay, some PTSD makes a lot of sense. And I have a brain injury because of it.
My goodness.
I know.
Wow.
And certainly with brain injury, for many people, again, you would know this, but it can be very hard to manage your emotions when you are struggling with a brain injury, right?
Absolutely.
So I just said, well, I'm so glad you're okay. And I said, I hope you have a good day. And he said, I hope you do too. And we smiled.
Geez.
And we went on our way. And I tell you, I reflected on it and thought, I had the best day ever. I swear, the rest of that day was just incredible.
Did you see how I reacted to that? I am so
Well, I just felt so good. Yeah, they took that high road,
even
though certainly biologically your body said, no, you got to fight back because that's how we're built, right? That's survival.
And most people would have reacted that way. And look at what you did. And I think that is a very wonderful story. I can't believe we're almost out of time. I think that is a really important. I know. I told you it would go by quickly.
It did go by quickly.
Yes, but that is such an important story. So, if someone reacts that way, just pause.
Yeah.
pause before you react, because you don't know what's going on with that person, and you could really take the high road instead of creating this horrific scene, and then this person goes this way angry, and you leave angry, and you go kick your cat, and and carry that on. So you've given us a lot of wonderful information, and I know we're going to have the website. And where can people get more information about mental health first aid? You have
two places. So you can come to my website. There's there's a click to see lots of information about mental health first aid, and all of my upcoming training events are listed there, and I update it regularly. You can also go to the Mental Health First Aid Canada website. That lists all of the training events all across Canada, and certainly probably provides much more information if people are looking for details.
Awesome.
One thing people get, I forgot my prop.
Oh, you forgot your prop.
Forgot to show it.
Get
my
this.
show and tell, but not much to show. But if I were to open it up and look inside, this is the manual that people get that they take away with them.
Well, that's
chock
fantastic.
Full of resources and information.
I think this is wonderful. Suzanne, thank you so much for everything that you do. I can't wait to take the course. I'm going to do it very soon.
I'm going to hold you to it.
I promise you, I am. So thank you for joining us. Thanks
welcome.
everyone for joining us on Real Life Talks. Sometimes difficult conversations, but it's all about showing up for yourself, showing up for others. And my call to action for everyone is, if you want to be able to do these things, you want to be empowered and resilient, plan your life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party. Thanks. See you next time.